Let me ask you a question. Do you feel that you came to this earth with the purpose of trying to lose weight? Of trying to lose weight, of trying to keep it off, of trying to perfect your eating, of trying to figure yourself out, of trying to find out what's wrong with you, of trying to perfect your problem? Is that your life purpose? Even if you know that the answer is no, that this can't be your life purpose. First of all, I get that it is a real struggle. I've myself for 20 years was unconsciously making that my life purpose. Even though I didn't say that was my life purpose, when I actually looked at my actions and I looked at the 20 years of my life that I had been constantly thinking about food, constantly worrying about my weight and how I looked in my clothes and how I was going to look in the photographs coming up at the next events and how I was going to moderate my eating at the next party or next event. I absolutely was 100% unconsciously making weight loss my life's purpose. And what I want to say to you very authentically is please wake up. You are here for so much more than constantly worrying and obsessing about your weight and about your food. And I really want you to hear me when I say that I understand that your problem with food and your weight and your body is actually a problem. It is. But I'm here to say that the answer to that problem is not in your self-control and you're getting back on track and starting again Monday and staying consistent and staying motivated. You've already done that. You've tried that before. That's not the real answer. So, welcome to the Hypnosis for Permanent Weight Loss podcast. I'm your host, Leslie M. Thornton. And today we're going to talk about life purpose and what it is, debunk some myths about it, and how you can actually get out of your own way from discovering what your life purpose actually is, because it is not food, it is not weight loss. So let's talk about it. The conversation is coming based on many conversations with clients over the last probably year or so, but for the entire time, it's been a conversation, but it's just been more pertinent. But let's just talk about life purpose in general, because most of my clients are between probably their 50s and 60s range. It's also a time when menopause comes in for clients. So there are the different physical things that are happening, but there's other phenomenons that are happening at this age that has us start to ask questions about purpose and what this actually means. And I want to just relate it and connect it for you when it comes to your journey with weight loss at the same time. So, purpose. Most people think purpose is finding the right job. It's about finding the right relationship. It's about hearing this God divine thing of this is what I'm meant to do, and just putting all of your passion and all of your drive into that thing and waiting for the stars to align and just feeling like, Eureka, I found it. But here's the truth that I really buy into about purpose, and that it's actually not about finding one thing. Purpose is not some external destination or box to check, but purpose is actually about being who you are fully and unapologetically, no matter what environment you're in, whether you're at a job that you really dislike and or in a relationship that is not working well, or whatever, or in a body that you hate. Okay, purpose can be found in who you're being, regardless of what circumstance that you're in. I just had a really profound coaching call with a client last week, and she has been disliking her job for a long time. and can't really understand why people in her industry she works in are the way they are, and can't understand why she's not actually finding her purpose and going after the job that she really wants and feeling stuck in that same situation. What we got to see for her was that unconsciously, since she was a child, she has been committed to seeing how other people are wrong. This is unconscious. She was unconsciously committed to seeing how other people were doing things wrong. And so she kept finding herself, and still does, in work environments where people are immature and where people don't have integrity and people, their communication skills aren't great. Now, it doesn't excuse those behaviors. It can, everything that she's experiencing and feeling about those individuals, we can find validity in that. But because of her unconscious commitment to find out where other people are stupid or wrong or whatever, it was only hurting her. She's the one that's in an environment that she dislikes. She's the one that wasn't able to operate from who her actual self is and how she really wants to express herself in the world and what she's committed to. What she identified that she's committed to is extraordinary service and excellent communication. But until you drop the unconscious commitment to something else or pointing the fingers or looking at other things, until you actually discover, who am I committed to being? You can ask yourself that. Who are you committed to being? And the beauty in that is you can look to see what really irks you about other people or what really gets you, yeah, upset when you're engaging with other people, and that will show you what you're committed to. It's less about them, and you'll waste your time and your precious life force energy by making anything else or anyone else wrong or bad for any way that they're being. They have their own stuff to deal with, their own things to find, when in fact you can actually use them as mirrors to discover more closely to who you are and how you're being. And so as soon as this client I coached last week changes her commitment to just focusing on herself and who she's committed to being, extraordinary service and excellent communication, and specifically takes actions in alignment with that, there is 100% certain that over time she will find herself naturally in a new environment, a healthy environment, surrounded with other people who are actually committed to the same thing. And that's where, through her feeling that match of values of who she is, that she will feel that she is living on purpose. So take a look for yourself. What area of life right now feels like you're irked by it? Obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, let's talk about body. So it's like, I hate my body. I need to lose weight. I can't get this, weight off. I can't stay consistent. I can't, stay on track. What's wrong with me? So in that, let's take a look at, what are you unconsciously committed to? What are you unconsciously committed to by continuing to ask yourself and ruminate on this problem for however many years of your life that it's been a problem? I would assert that it's some flavor of, you are committed to finding out what is wrong with you. You are unconsciously committed to finding out what is wrong with you. I can relate on a personal note about this. I grew up with a medical family, nurse, physical therapist. So there is the natural lens of problem diagnosis. Let's find the problem and let's fix it. Let's find the problem and let's fix it. Very helpful in the workspace, very helpful in medicine, very unhelpful when we are actually talking about whole and complete and perfect human beings. So consider that as long as you continue the search, as long as you continue your unconscious commitment to finding out what's wrong with you, you will never get off this diet hamster wheel. You will never find peace. So, same as what I coach my client, the opportunity is to drop that. I'm going to let go of that commitment to finding out what's wrong with me. And I'm going to actually start to find out, who am I? And what can I celebrate about who I am? And as I initiate that level of self love and self understanding, because the truth is, no matter how much weight you have to lose, a lot of my clients, 40, 50 pounds or more will be what they have to lose when they're finding me. You can look at all the things that you have endured over the years, and it's been a lot. Maybe you had to have the courage to be a single parent, or you had to have the courage to leave a marriage. You had to have the courage to, whatever it is, speak up for yourself, transition away from a job, move away from home. There were major life events that happened, but thank God they happened because it's led you to here. And your body has supported you, and you've done the best you've been able to do with what you've had up to this point to actually survive, to make it through there. And so through that process, I tell my clients it's like giving your unconscious mind a tour of what you've been through. And a great way to do this is to look at, so if you had a girlfriend who shared her life story with you and it was the same life story you have, and they shared with you, they said, I went through this major life event. I went through this major life event. I endured that major thing. I went through this. I did that. I accomplished this. I became this. I hit this goal. I was able to complete this degree and do this level of work in my job. And then they said, but all that's great, but I've always had a weight problem and I just need to figure that out. How would you respond? Whenever I turn the tables for my clients to actually take a look at how they would respond to someone else who had the exact same story or situation as them, the immediate is with that kind of compassion and saying, sister, oh my gosh, the things you've been through, the ways that you've overcome, the way that you've never given up is absolutely incredible. And I'm so moved by that. And I hate to see that you are discounting how incredible you are, how unstoppable you are, and making it just about the food. You are so incredible. Like, I don't care what you look like. You're the most incredible human. And I know that even if a friend says that to you, it's very easy to be like discounting how incredible you are. But again, that is the commitment. That's the new work that we need to do to actually create a transformation. You have to let go of looking for what's wrong and start actually looking for what's right. And from that place of self love and empowerment and knowing who you are, you will then be able to take the actions and take care of yourself in the way that is actually in alignment with the way that you want to eat. That's going to allow your body to be the way that it is. It's going to allow your life purpose to be expanded out because, again, life purpose about who you're being. If you're being someone who hates themselves, if you're being someone who is hard on yourself or feels worthless or insecure or undeserving, how is she going to treat herself? How can she actually be? How can she actually fully express? How can she find purpose? So the search for the weight loss is the issue. It's about who you're being, and it's not about knowing better. If it was about knowing better, knowing how to lose weight or knowing how to be healthy or knowing how to, right? Like in this life, we are not rewarded with the blessings that life has to offer, the relationships, the connections, the opportunities, the peace, the joy, the freedom by knowing things. You can look good on paper, you could get awards, you could get all those types of things. And if you have, you know that that stuff is like a drop in the hat. It's like a little pin until you're on to the next thing. That it's not actually giving you the true fulfillment and the feeling that you're looking for. We can parallel this to weight loss. I've had so many people recently say to me, yeah, I have lost weight before and I still felt empty inside. I still felt anxious about gaining it back. I still felt insecure and not confident when I walked into a room. So clearly, this is not about a weight problem. This is a being problem. You cannot solve an internal problem with an external solution. You cannot solve an internal problem with an external solution. And here's what breaks my heart is just seeing these incredible women. I actually just saw there's a documentary that is a follow-up to The Biggest Loser that just came out, that TV show that was on years ago. It was on for, it was something like 14 seasons or something incredible. I didn't remember it being on that long. But it really hit home as I was watching this documentary because for the last 10 years of my life, I've been having conversations with women who are seeking weight loss, that are seeking every type of solution possible for themselves and desperate for an answer and desperate for self-control and desperate to stop the mental obsession, desperate to stop the food noise. And so I really understand why Ozempic, GLP-1s, Mounjaro, I understand why it is something that people are gravitating towards, why they're willing to take the risk to put something in their body. Obviously, there's the lawsuit going on right now, just people's guts getting paralyzed and people in the hospital. And I've had clients who have endured that same situation. It's risky, but I understand why we're doing it. But the truth is that the same thing, that is an external solution, and we are not changing the being inside, not changing the patterns, all these different things going on. So just hearing the people's story in that Netflix documentary just reminded me of all these thousands of conversations I've had, and everybody has their own story. You have your own story, made fun of as a kid, or have a slow metabolism, or have some kind of physical ailment or diagnosis from a young age, or you had some kind of abuse in your past or traumatic event. All of those people from The Biggest Loser all had a story like this. Major things happening in their upbringing, or just emotional neglect, or not feeling as loved or as cared for as you know that you really needed as a child. And that leftover anger and resentment and sadness and unprocessed emotion from your past leads to the coping with the eating. It leads to the emotional eating. And until you clear that, you are going to continue to have a problem. These people, if you watch it on Netflix, I would say 90% of them, actually 100% of them, because one woman who was fit, 10, 20 years after the show, was on Ozempic, and that's fine. That's her business. No judgment on my end. But every other one from The Biggest Loser who went through all of that stuff to lose the weight, hundreds of pounds, thousands of pounds cumulatively, gained it all back. And that's the statistic, 95%. So what is missing? We are missing the purpose. We are missing the self-worth. We are missing the engagement with yourself as being an extraordinary, capable human being, rather than someone who is broken or unlovable, etc. So decades of chasing and going about and trying to perfect their eating as if it's your life purpose. And like I was saying in the beginning of this episode, is that what you want your life to be about? When you are on your deathbed and you are taking your final breaths, I wish that I didn't actually have this real life example of clients saying, Leslie, I'm here because my 89-year-old mom was on her deathbed and all she could talk about was the fact that she still could never lose the 10 or 20 pounds. When I did my TEDx talk, a woman came up to me and said that's what her grandmother said on her dying day. I had another client a couple of years ago, and that's exactly what she said that her mom was talking about on the day she died. I have another client saying that her mom, as she's aging, is still talking about her weight and about her eating. And it is a mental addiction. It is a way to it's so innocent. You're unconsciously thinking that that actually is the problem you need to have solved. But I'm here to tell you that it is so much deeper than that. If you keep talking about it, this keeps being an issue for you, and you've proven that you can lose the weight before, you've done it, you've been able to follow it, but you still end up back in square one, then consider that you need to listen to this podcast. You need to go deeper into these conversations. Just get curious. Get curious on what you don't know that you don't know. And please, if you're new to me, know that I get it. I understand the pain. I went from 108 pounds at 5'2" after 3 years of perfecting my diet on a food addiction program. My brain got wired very hard on the fact that I was a food addict and the dopamine and the sugar addiction. And I got a lot of evidence to show that that was 100% true for me, all to end up like having it all blow up in my face. So dream body, but still feeling anxious and empty and not in an environment that I loved in my life, to gaining 65 pounds in 6 months, something like that. It was 170 was the highest number, 172 I saw on the scale at 5'2", very rapidly. Binging and knowing all the right things, a nurse, a personal trainer, a lifetime dieter, hypnotherapist, even still at the time. And I still didn't do it, which is why hypnosis alone is not enough. You need three things for change. It's hypnosis, it's coaching, it's boundary setting, it's focusing on what you want. So I just want you to know that I have been there. And for the last 5 years, my body has been within the same 10 pounds without any dieting, without any stress or struggle or strain, without any vigorous workout plans. But it was by me actually getting that the real issue was an identity issue. For me, it was the fact that I felt no matter how many successes I had, I still engaged with myself as still a failure, as someone who kept messing up, effing up, and making mistakes was kind of my inner talk. Oh, I effed it up again. That would be what I would say to myself all the time. I effed it up again. And that engagement with myself and the emotions that came with me hating myself was what kept me stuck all those years. So once I actually started letting go of the trying to perfect the eating and starting to actually look at my relationship with myself and my core identity, and started getting myself the tools for how to deal with the emotions that came up, and then the practical skills for how to actually show up in my relationships and with my food and in my job and in my life, that's when everything started to shift. And it's just to be in a world where I never have to obsess about food. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not worrying about it outside of normal. What am I going to have for dinner? And it's not a drama. And there's no concerns about parties coming up. There's no concerns about if I'm going to eat too much or drink too much, or how am I going to stop myself, or how can I get those cookies later when nobody else is looking, or any of the sneak behaviors and habits. I used to even sneak extra alcohol when nobody was looking, and sneak the cookies off, or take a spoonful of ice cream and promise myself I wasn't going to have any more, and then sneak back into the kitchen and grab more anyway. It was wild. And I know you get it, because I've talked to thousands of people over the years, and everybody has these things. So I just want to let you know you're not alone. I get it. And yeah, it's a safe place for you to actually start to get curious on what is this actually about for you. So that's heartbreaking to me. I want to be clear, you don't have a weight problem. Consider you actually have a purpose problem, a being problem, an identity problem. And here's the kicker. Again, like I'm talking about, knowing isn't enough. You can know all the right things, you can know the diets, you can know all the right workout routines, but that doesn't change your being. Just to reiterate, we are not blessed in this life by what we know. We are blessed in this life by who we're being. The kindness, the generosity, the expansiveness people feel. People don't remember what you do, people remember how you make them feel. And that's just the hugest truth. And if you feel like you're in your own head a lot and you're worrying about your behaviors and you're stressed and you're anxious about what you're doing or not doing all the time, consider no one is actually getting the privilege to be with you, especially not you. And life outside of that, and it's no shame and it's no judgment. Like you can't know what you don't know, and you don't have to feel like you should be able to do this on your own, because the truth is the unconscious mind's job is to keep us safe. And so building that intimacy with yourself and learning how to feel your feelings and be able to slow down and let emotions that are uncomfortable move through you and building a relationship with them. I couldn't do that initially for myself. And to be honest, sometimes life is so full, I still need to reach out and get support for that. And there's no shame in that. But the first time I ever reached out to a coach and asked for help, I immediately started crying on the phone because I had been so trapped and so locked inside, feeling like I needed to be the strong one. That was my programming. And if I wasn't the strong one, then no one would trust me anymore. And that, yeah, I was going to lose my identity as the strong one and as the one people can always go to, which felt like paralyzing to me. But from that day forward, realizing that it is okay to ask for help. It's okay to say you don't know how to do the food, body, and weight thing, that you've done the traditional things, you've proven that you can do that, but you haven't actually been able to learn how to have a healthy relationship with food. And that's okay. We're not taught about how to do this in our lives. There's no shame here. And I just want to let you know that the journey can get emotional when you're inside of the program. If this kind of conversation resonates with you, is the most beautiful journey. Um, it's not, doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean that it doesn't come without emotions. We wouldn't be healing if it wasn't. And to be clear, healing is just making a decision that you are done with dieting and that you want to learn how to have a healthy relationship with food. And so naturally needing to rewire your mind, which requires repetition, which is why my program is over time, and it requires feeling emotion. That's actually how you reprogram to become someone who is free around food, body, and weight. But the richness of the conversations. I just had my group coaching call last night with a few of my clients, and these ladies are the most kind and loving and willing to be vulnerable, willing to be so supportive and relate to each other's problems, whether it's having parents that are aging and working with how to be the caregiver in that time, or it's teenage children that are transitioning off into college and dealing with those emotions, or it's challenges with husbands and the fights that happen, or the fears or anxieties that go on as you guys are kind of missing each other physically, emotionally, sexually, in all those different ways intimately, and how to break those barriers first within ourselves and then in practical communication with them. And outside of that, the actual looking at every food episode as this absolutely gorgeous opportunity to learn something new. So, my knowing, based on all of my background in neurolinguistic programming and behavior change and coaching and being on this journey myself, is that every single time that you eat out of integrity with your food, there is a beautiful thing to learn that you didn't know before about yourself. And without having the coaching and the consistency and the community to actually take a look at each event, your brain completely takes over and just starts telling you the same old story again of how here's more evidence of how something's wrong with me. Here's more evidence of why I can't control myself. Here's more evidence of, again, that identity that is false, that is unkind, that is not. If you think about it, if you have children of your own or you have been around a child and you look at a baby, do you look at them as something's wrong with them? Or do you look at them as being like, wow, this is the most purest essence of love and incredible, miraculous amazingness that equals this consciousness that's before me, and they could do no wrong. Even if they're had a huge blowout and stayed up all night, there's still that incredible unconditional love that comes out. Well, guess what? You used to be that baby. You were that baby. You were that precious thing that could do absolutely no wrong. And we don't see ourselves that way. We don't have that kind of unconditional love towards ourselves. And that is a major, major problem. It's what is causing us all to stay so stuck in these cycles. So we'll have that lens of what's wrong. Again, you got to drop the commitment that there's something wrong. Stop trying to find out what's wrong with you. I always say to my clients, the only thing wrong with you is that you believe that there's something wrong with you. The truth is, you are perfect, whole, and complete as you are. You are a human being that is learning, that is transforming, that is evolving, and you are not designed to be perfect. And so for us, we get to use our relationship with food as the access to finding out who we truly are and what's possible for ourselves if we choose to take that higher consciousness road in our journey to food freedom. What an incredible conversation. So again, unpacking each food behavior. So I had one client last night who got to see that her, making a mistake and something that it was an innocent mistake and she handled it perfectly. All my clients, they handle anything that goes wrong or anything they need to take responsibility for perfectly. The problem is the internal reaction that causes the eating. So her core wound of I'm incapable got triggered, and that caused her to eat really rapidly and right have a few days where she was really eating in a way she wasn't committed to. So rather than just saying, oh my God, I need to get my stuff together, I need to start over Monday, I need to get more organized, I need to, because that's what we normally do. It's like, wait a second, I know that if I'm eating out of integrity right now, it's because something is going on I'm not aware of. And so she got to see that that event was what catalyzed this whole open can of worms for her as far as her eating went. And as soon as she sees it and we can process through the emotion of it, now she can be free of it. So it's not pull your bootstraps up and get strict, girl, because you're way off track. It's compassion for self of like, oh, I see why that happened. Oh my goodness. Okay, let me use a tool that I give you in the program to support my nervous system to feel safe and to tell the truth about who I am. And now the food behavior that is erratic ends. Another client got down to ground zero. She was like, maybe if I could just stop eating all these carbs all the time. Okay, yep, here's the hard on yourself and thinking something's wrong with you. And so when we unpacked it, we got to see that she initially was frustrated at her kids. And then underneath anger is always sadness and hurt. And she just got to really see that she was sad that her kids are going to school. They're leaving. And so once she was able to be present to, hey, this is all happening because I actually am really sad underneath this, we're going to watch how she's not picking at carbs and doing those things because of her new commitment to take some time to process some of the sadness. And then finally, another client from last night talking about how she was mindlessly picking as she was eating dinner and she was moving too quickly. And why am I always moving so quick? Yeah, so there's the self-judgment, there's the shame and the shoulds and all of that negative self-talk. And again, us unpacking after we gave her a tool to let go of the shame and the shoulds and the self-judgment to actually go and discover that it was just leftover programming from when she was actively being a parent with kids at home and she had to get dinner together and she had to be a high performer to make everything in the schedule work out. But now transitioning into having more space, having more ability to ask for her needs to be met, having the ability to say, maybe some nights I don't want to cook, or having the ability to say, you know what she came to for herself was, I'm always distracting myself as I'm cooking. And I think what is speaking to me is I want to actually be present as I'm chopping vegetables, as I'm preparing the food, and enjoy the experience so that I'm not unconsciously grabbing for the snacks to try to pizzazz up this activity or to distract myself from being here in the now. Every single woman on the call leaves these calls lit up and empowered and with new learnings and with new freedom. And I was saying to my clients last night that uh, the the magic, the beauty, the key, the secret sauce is about letting go of the attachment on how long this is going to take. Because when we can really lean into the beauty of who you're becoming and how you are now getting the opportunity to build a true, unconditionally loving relationship with yourself, where you're truly learning how to trust yourself, trust every food decision, but now you have the support to just not go around the hamster wheel of judging yourself and staying stuck, but actually seeing the beauty and the magic in every single thing that comes up and seeing it translate out into every single area of your life and the presence you can bring to your relationships and your marriage and to your kids. Like, that's really, really, really what it is. And again, that's transforming the being. That's you becoming the being that is required for you to have peace in this area of your life, for you to have peace with all your relationships, starting with the peace with yourself. The journey is not easy, but when you fully commit and engage, like it is so, so, so soul quenching. It's so beautiful. It's so magical. All we want as human beings is to be seen. And we want to be appreciated. We want to be heard. We want to be valued. Guess what? That can't happen unless you can see and hear and value yourself. It starts with you first. And the woman who sees and hears and loves and values herself, she doesn't binge on food just naturally, because the reason she's binging is because she doesn't feel seen or heard or valued. The reason that she's obsessing about what she's wearing is because she's scared to be seen. She's avoiding it in time. So if she gets over the fear of being seen and she sees herself, well, guess what? Now I'm confident in what I'm wearing and I'm excited to go to that social event. And it's not about me locked in my head, obsessing about how I'm looking or what people are thinking anymore. It's like appreciating these people who are next to me. It is the best. It's the best. And if you feel called to join this, I would love to support you. There's nothing that makes my heart sing more. This is, I've been having some real conversations, even with myself, just around purpose and making sure that I'm really engaging with myself as what I'm capable of too and who I am. And it's a constant evolution. And, there's so many other things that I could be doing with my time than helping people transform their relationship with food. I mean, I have so much awareness on so many different topics. And, I came to this earth to really experience all the things. And I've held retreats before that have been absolutely like the most transformational thing I can imagine. And, even having conversations with some of my accelerator clients last week, and they're on this journey and just knowing what's possible outside of the box of just that same treadmill workout routine that as we're aging, it just might not work for our bodies anymore. I have clients that used to be big power walkers, or they used to lift weights a lot, or all of that kind of stuff. And it's like now their body is different. It aches, it has different pains, there's different things going on. And then it can have us get stuck. But there's so many new soul nourishing ways that you can move your body. I got to a place in my path where it was like, I am so bored of this freaking gym. Like, I just don't want to come here and pound the pavement and, quote unquote, the treadmill and like just look at a window if I'm lucky or a wall or a TV screen. Like, if that is still something you love, that's fine. But like, it just got old. And so you just want to pay attention to that and start getting a little bit more creative on what are other ways to move. So, I've had some incredible opportunities to experience so many really incredible transformational experiences that are also super healthy, that are, get you really connected to yourself and get you past some of these mental barriers. And all of that to say, I did have the inspiration about creating a really high level retreat where we're going to Spain actually, because I found in Spain it is a location that has um, ecstatic dance, it has Kundalini yoga, it has Michelin star restaurants, it has, um, yeah, some of these other things that have just been so transformational for me in my journey. And some of you will go and you'll take that list, and I hope you do, finding those different outlets if that's speaking to you. But there is something magical that happens when the community that feels called together to do that together happens. So, for myself, again, with the shift of being like, okay, so I could do this about food, but like, what if I in the retreat thing, again, I've led retreats before, it's not new. I become my highest self on retreats to give people that experience in community mixed with hypnosis, mixed with coaching, mixed with NLP. Um, yeah, it just feels like it could be the next level. And, there's no reason I can't do both. And as I'm recording this live, if that is speaking to you and you are ready for something that's completely done for you, just getting your plane tickets and showing up and having it be like a spacious, beautiful, elevated time with incredible women to really look at purpose and get out of the stuff that's in the way, and yeah, transform your relationship with food at the same time, but by doing what we're talking about today of like really working on the being piece and working on, yeah, getting out of the way anything that's in the way, and simultaneously focusing on something that's so much cooler and more expansive and for you. Anyway, if that is speaking to you, please reach out to my team, email info@hpwl.co. I wasn't planning on even saying that, but um, just yes, if that feels like something you're called to, I would really love to hear that because I am feeling a bit of that divine uh, leading there. All of that to say, my heart is in helping people get free around food obsession. It is. It, when I tap into my own truth and my own inner knowing, I just see that directly on the other side of people's issues with food is purpose, is love, is their connection with source, with God, with truth. It is what connects you back to your husband, which changes the dynamics in your family, that changes the course of the future forever. And there's nothing more intimate and more extraordinary and beautiful that I could imagine than working on this. And when I look back, when I'm on my deathbed and I know that I never gave up, and hopefully this movement that I will have created that's as big as what I know I'm capable of as I do the self-empowerment journey right along with you. Um, yeah, just want to swing out for transformation, swing out for you and for what's possible. So, yeah, it's just such a worthy cause. So, the being matters. So, on purpose, because I know it's a conversation that happens for my clients a lot. It was one of my private clients last week talking about, like, I just want to find my purpose. And this is what I said to her as well. It's just like, purpose is really about who you're being in every situation. And if you're being who you're committed to, then you're living on purpose. And regardless of what job you're in or any other circumstances that are going on, there might be many different iterations of plans for you, like your plan of being a parent, the plan of being a spouse, the plan of being the daughter in the family that you're in and the sister, the plan of you having the job you have, the plan. But again, the one thing that has the through line is who you're being in all those roles and all those circumstances, etc. So, yeah, that's the work that we do here. That's how I really view purpose. And I had a client who went to her natural path. I know I've shared this on this podcast before. Shout out to her. She's just such a lovely woman. And she said it really spoke to her when she brought up to the naturopath, I have this weight problem. And he said, you don't have a weight problem, you have a purpose problem. It's the connection, it's the being, it's the, again, getting out of the way. I have another private client, just really working on her relationship with her sons specifically. And there being frequent times where conversations don't go well and that leave her feeling unimportant and low self-esteem and that drive us to the cabinet and cause us to ruminate and not have energy, which is going to affect our weight as well. And so getting to coach her on the unconscious stuff or the emotional identity wounding that's coming up and simultaneously giving her, her son was not talking to her. And then I gave her specifically what she could say, that puts her in her proper place and not having some of the wounding getting in the way. And he ended up responding with a whole huge text message that really was very pertinent, that it was showing his commitment to her and how much he did love her. But if we're not communicating what we're actually wanting to communicate and we're letting some of these unconscious things that we all have get in the way, that can cause a lot of strain on relationships. And it doesn't have to be there. And the journey of you actually putting yourself first and stop making other people wrong and stop looking for ways to show that nobody cares about you or nobody loves you or hanging on to resentment and anger and frustration about the wrongdoings and just like I was saying in the beginning of that first client I told you about, the only person who's getting hurt is yourself. You deserve to live a life that is extraordinary just for you. And if you want your access to your purpose, to your spirituality, to your passions, to your happiness, to your health, to your peace, to be by way of your looking at and peeling back the layers behind your lifetime challenging relationship with food, then please, please, please join us. Join us in this conversation. It's really for women that they get it. They want to have deeper, richer conversations. They have done work on themselves before, but there's still a missing piece. A lot of people I've talked to have done therapy before, and therapy is super helpful. I love therapy, and it gets you to a certain place. There can still be the next level. And, if you also have the consciousness of, when the student's ready, the teacher appears. Um, listen to that call. And what if I'm here having this conversation with you in your ears as you're walking, or you're, doing that because we're meant to meet, that we're meant to have a conversation. And I know it can be challenging to take that initial action step. It's so much more easy just to feel good and go on your walk and get a little hit of dopamine and go back in your day and be a little bit nicer. But I just want to let you know that it cannot start unless you actually have that deeper one-on-one conversation for you to actually look at, what is my wound? What are my triggers? What's my patterning? What am I hanging on to? And the call that I offer on these podcasts is exactly about getting you that clarity on what you can't see. And if I know based on our conversation that my program can help you go all the way with your healing your relationship with food, then I can let you know about that. But either way, you just booking the call and getting that clarity is going to help. So why not say yes to something like that? I am working with a coach right now, and I wasn't planning, I wasn't even looking for a mentor. I, thought everything was pretty good and I got this and all the different things, but I said yes to the call anyway because this person came highly recommended and I thought whatever, and I was just honest. And that's the only thing I'll ask, is that if you come to a call, just give yourself the gift to be honest so that I can serve you as powerfully as possible. And yeah, the healing starts right in that initial conversation. So hope this is helpful. I love you so much. Just remember, your life is so much bigger than weight loss, that your purpose is about who you're being. It's about, Yeah, getting to see what's possible underneath the surface. So thank you for listening. If you're ready to book that call, hpwl.co/apply.
Ready to finally break free from the diet hamster wheel and create lasting transformation? I've put together a free hypnosis training just for you, where I break down why diets keep failing, the mindset shifts you need to stop the cycle, and how to rewire your subconscious for true effortless change. Text the word hypnosis to 1-855-232-5483 and I'll send it to you instantly. You don't have to keep struggling. Real freedom starts now. Take the first step. Text the word hypnosis to 1-855-232-5483.